Hey friends, this is Carrie and welcome back to I Like Reddit channel. Today our stories are out of the Entitledparents subreddit. Let's begin. Our first story is posted by Desert Redhead. EM jeopardizes safety on an airplane. With the holidays quickly approaching, the season of holiday travel is also beginning. Please use this Karen tale as a cautionary reminder to obey safety instructions and to be considerate of your fellow passengers as you endure air travel. A few years ago, I went to Europe for Christmas. After a magical trip, the time sadly came where I had to say goodbye and hop on a flight back to the US. I was traveling with my dad. He was a frequent flyer at the time, and so we were upgraded to business class. The seats are pods that recline fully into a bed. I take my seat in my pod and start to get settled in when I noticed that the passenger in the seat behind and across from me is a little girl, our EK, who was about 3 or 4 years old. Her mother, our EM, was sitting behind me, and her father was sitting next to the little girl on the other side. When I saw her, I was a bit confused because I didn't think children that age were allowed in business class. After all, it's advertised as a quiet area to work and relax on a long flight. However, I shrugged it off as a what do I know kind of thing and resumed getting settled in for our long flight. All was going well until it was time for takeoff. Prior to this point, EK had been quietly watching movies on her iPad. However, once takeoff began, EK had to put away her iPad and the in-flight entertainment defaulted to the airplane safety instructions. This naturally is where things went awry. Pretty much immediately after the safety video begins, EK tells her mom that she wants a toy. EK tells her she has to wait because she can't get up now. EK continues asking for the toy, and EM keeps telling her no. All the while, the plane is taxiing on the runway. The scene continues for the next 10 minutes or so, with EK getting louder and whinier with every demand for the toy, and EM sounding more and more defeated with every no. We make it to the runway, and the plane takes off when EK makes her whiniest demand yet for the toy. This is when EM says, "Okay, sweetie, I'll get you the toy." We're in the air for less than 60 seconds, and the plane was rapidly ascending into the sky when this brainless EM stands up and opens the overhead bins, taking out her bag and starts digging for a toy for her child. As soon as I realized what was going on, I prayed so hard that the rest of the bags in the overhead bin, including my own, didn't fall down and knock me out. Obviously, none of the flight attendants got up to confront her because it was too dangerous. One of them, however, must have called the cockpit because shortly after EM got up, the captain made a very angry yet diplomatic announcement reminding everyone to please remain seated with their seatbelts fastened during takeoff, their safety and the safety of others. Fortunately, no one got hurt and EM sat back down, the plane reached cruising altitude, and safety was no longer an issue. While my life was no longer in danger, it was not the end of my dealings with EK. For the rest of the flight, EK's brainless parents allowed her to run up and down the aisles of the business class, making as much noise as she wanted. It was a 9-hour flight, and I didn't get any sleep thanks to EK. After that, I had a 2-hour layover followed by a 2.5-hour connecting flight back to my hometown. So I was cranky and exhausted by the time I finally got home. If the rules about children that young being allowed in business class haven't changed by now, this story is a wonderful example of why they should. Moral of the story, if you're traveling with small children, be prepared. Having everything they could possibly need in the carry-on bag that you can fit under the seat in front of you. Don't leave it in an overhead bin and risk your own safety and the safety of those around you when your kid starts throwing a tantrum. Thanks for reading. I can't imagine being on a flight with somebody that inconsiderate. I mean, she could have easily, I know you're not supposed to, but she could have easily gotten up while they were taxiing and grabbed the bag. That probably would have been less dangerous than doing it while you're ascending into the air. But come on. Why would you be that stupid or be that unprepared? Anyway, on to the next story. Our next story is posted by Potato with a Stun Gun. I was harassed, and then an EM demanded my crutches to cut in line. Little long one here? I only remember this when I was looking through a photo album and figured, why not tell somebody? To start off, I should explain why I need crutches. I was born with a couple of different medical conditions, one of which caused my bones to be weak and another causing me to lose sight in one eye. After lots of treatment and therapy, I was strong enough to walk on my own with crutches, but I still needed assistance with some things. I'm A-okay now with the exception of my vision. This happened literally the day after I was discharged. I was 8 at the time. My family decided to take me on a week-long trip to a place about 3 hours from our home because it was very beautiful and it was not very crowded. So it was perfect place to relax and get used to being outside. My mom had to leave for an emergency at work the morning of our trip and took the car. This left me and my dad figuring the most efficient way to get there would be by bus. We got to the bus terminal really early and hung around for a bit. About an hour before our bus was to board, my dad had asked me if I needed to go to the restroom. Being a kid, I said no, but we went anyway. Going to the restroom happened to be one of the tasks I needed help for, so my dad took me to the men's room. Upon seeing my crutches, nobody had any objections and understood what was going on. We were just about to enter the door when I was suddenly shoved on my blind side and fell onto my dad. My dad helped me stand up and glared at who shoved me. It was a girl a bit taller than me, standing in front of a lady who was staring me and my dad down. She had a scowl on her face I could never forget. The following conversation went something like this. Excuse me, why are you bringing a girl into the men's room? She should be in the women's room. Dad, well, she needs some help as she's too weak to do some tasks on her own. If she can't do something so simple, then send her to the hospital for them to take care of her. I was shocked and beginning to get angry at that comment. Dad, instead of worrying about how I take care of my daughter, why don't you take care of your kid and teach her some basic manners and not to shove people? Your kid could have easily dodged it, or is she that weak that a tap sends her flying? Dad, she is unable to see well and clearly is very weak, so that's not my fault she's blind and handicapped and a burden to society. If you're bringing a girl into the men's room, then my daughter and I can be going in there too. Here, a man behind and in front of us stepped in. Man 1. He needs to be with his kid to ensure her safety. You have no right to be here or say anything about him and his kid. Man 2. You and your kid need to leave these two alone and go to where you belong. If it's the restroom you need, you both are old enough to understand that you don't belong in this one. After leaving in a huff with her kid, my dad and I thought it was over. He thanked the two men for stepping in, and they said they couldn't stand by and just watch what was going on. Fast forward a couple of days, and we are enjoying ourselves on our trip. This location also has a small carousel that I was waiting for in line. The operator saw me at the back and kindly allowed me to cut the line a pretty short line. Once off the ride, guess who comes jogging up to me and my dad? Hi, I know we kind of got off to a rough start, but I hope it's all good now. My dad chose to ignore her. Hey, come on, please, hear me out. I saw your daughter got to cut in line and get on the carousel because of her crutches. Can you let my little girl borrow those crutches so that she can cut the line too? I was shocked and replied, I need these crutches to stand. I can't give them to you. Didn't your parents ever teach you not to be selfish and share? We will give them back, I promise. She tried to snatch them from under me before my dad stepped in front of me and blocked her. Dad, after what you did to us last time, what gives you the right to even come near us again, let alone ask for the very thing you ridiculed my daughter for? Please. As a fellow parent, you should know how hard it is to give kids a happy life. Please lend a... Dad, yes, I know better than you, and surely aren't applying that idea to my kid. Back off now. She tried to say something else, but the ride operator saw what was going on and called security. They escorted her and her child away, and that was the last that we saw of them. The thing that weirds me out about this whole situation is, why does the EM even care? It's none of her business. He isn't doing anything bad. He's just trying to help his daughter out at the restroom. I don't understand where she's coming from and why she even needs to concern herself with this. And the whole thing with the crutches at the carousel. I mean, that is so wrong, and it is so pathetic on the EM's part. And I'm glad security and the ride operator stepped in and took control of the situation. Anyway, on to the next story. This story is posted by Half Goddess and Half Hell. EM-in-law didn't show up to our wedding. I'll keep it short and sweet because it's been almost a year since my husband and I got married. Found this subreddit and decided to share our story. I'm on mobile, so please excuse any spelling mistakes. Little backstory. My husband and I have been best friends since middle school. We officially went out in 8th grade, but his mother, EM, couldn't stand another woman having his attention. He's the baby of the family, so she told him to break up with me, and disobedient kids all go to hell. She's very religious. He was emotionally manipulated since then, and it ended when we got married. My husband has always been obedient to his parents, never rebelling, grew up singing in church, and always helped out at home. EM always got her way and is a show-off to her brothers and sisters because she'll emotionally manipulate my now husband to buy her designer things. Not gonna lie, he makes great money and he has worked his way up his company. He gets it for her because he believes he's a bad son for not complying. He's paid for 90% of her bills and bought her a new RV despite having a mortgage and 4 cars because, in her own words, it's always been her dream to go camping as a family. He's paid for her credit card debt and bought $2,000 couch when it was almost paid off by my husband. She also used the same credit card that my husband is paying off to have a vacation to Canada. She believes that because she is his mother who birthed him and now he owes her. It got so bad that he still had a curfew at 22 despite paying almost all the bills in the house. We missed out on so many things because he had to be home at a certain time. So when we announced that my husband and I were getting married, she disapproved because she knows she will no longer be able to manipulate him if he doesn't live in her home. The day before our wedding, he tried to convince her again and she said no. He still went on with the wedding and we got our own place away from both parents. When we got married, I explained to him how he's being emotionally manipulated and he doesn't owe her for being born. He woke up and realized all the things he had done for her and told her he's no longer giving her money because he's got his own family now and is still hurt that she didn't show up to our wedding. She subtly blames me because she had to get a second job to pay for the things my husband would usually pay for, and that my husband would never visit her. He also had panic attacks because he would get yelled at for staying late at work past curfew. We're both in a great state mentally now, despite the fact that his mother still tries to stir drama. He gives her money here and there when she really needs it, but that's about it. Edit. Oh wow, thank you guys for the kind words. Sadly, this post is not the craziest thing she's done, and because of the subreddit posted below, I was introduced to more communities that have lived the same fate. I'll be writing more horror stories of entitled mother in different subreddits. Thank you guys for reading. Wow. It makes you feel bad for the son because he sounds like a good guy, and to be taken advantage of by your own mother is just really bad. I'm glad that he and his wife are in a good state emotionally, and I'm glad that he doesn't live under the thumb of his mother's control anymore. Anyway, our final story is by Hazardous Ed. How to Handle Entitled Parents. Having read stories on here, I conclude that a lot of the time, the entitled parent gets to create havoc because people are just too nice. At a mall near my place, not too long ago, they had a display of a couple of supercars. One day, a couple of kids went under the tape and started climbing on the car. A mall employee came and saw them and said to a woman who was obviously their mother, "Ma'am, can you please get your kids off the car?" She of course starts saying some BS like, "Oh, it's okay, blah blah." The employee didn't say a word to her. She turned on her phone and started recording the woman and her kids with her other hand, and she pulled out a walkie-talkie and called security to the location. Seeing that the employee totally didn't listen listened to her and had called security, the woman quickly tried to gather her kids and run off, but she wasn't fast enough. They were brought to the security office. Don't know what happened after. It was efficient, effective, with minimal fuss. Maybe a little cold, but the employee shut Karen down in a flash with minimal damage. Perhaps people should act like this employee more. Yeah, but I also think that, again, like the poster said, most people try not to be rude and try and be considerate of others in public, and Karens like to take advantage of that stuff. And a lot of times I think Karens end up doing things, well, at least wild Karens do, like trying to take the cell phone or hitting the person or something like that. I think this employee just caught Karen off guard, and Karen didn't expect it, which is a good thing. It's always good when things like that happen. Anyway, that's all the stories I have for today. If you enjoy my content, please like and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit the bell notification to let you know when I've uploaded new content. Head over to Reddit and drop a upvote for the OPs. Links to the original Reddit posts are in the description box below. Thank you for watching and have a great day.